So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. And today is Thursday, and it's June the 9th, 2022. And our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And tonight, actually this afternoon, right after the radio show at 3:30, is the Global Book Club. All the information of how to get to that is on our website. You can go to whyagain.org. You can go under schedule, flyers, events. You can find the Global Book Club information there, the Zoom link, and how to get logged in and be part of that. And it's a really interesting group, really wanting the work, wanting to do their work. And I think today that they're actually going to go through a worksheet with someone. So come and be part of that. And then the rest of the week on Saturday, the 11th, we have our Still Point Breathing group, Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock, for 3 hours, we have a Why Again workshop. And the information for that is also on the website. And you can get that under schedules or events, either one. And it's also on there under schedules listed as a free 3-hour Why Again. So all the information how you can become part of all of those things is on their website. And we hope that you participate. You know, we're having to do things online since we're not traveling, and so we've got a lot of things rocking, a lot of things going. So I'm waiting for Michael to get dialed in, and then we already have a hand up when he gets dialed in. So
I am dialed in.
I can't hear you.
You can't?
There you are. I can hear you now.
There I am.
Awesome.
Good.
So am I accurate that today on the book club you're going to go through the worksheet with someone, correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yinka, the leader of the club, has already selected a person. We're kind of doing a merit thing for people who are doing the work she selected someone that we're going to work with, so we are going to walk through the 7th step. Why is this happening to me again workshop? Cool.
Okay. And we do already have a hand up.
Well, let's talk to our caller. Let's say hello.
I believe that it's Joan. Haven't heard from her in a while. Area code 205, you're on the air.
Hello, it is Joan.
Welcome, young lady.
I was trying to find on YouTube the Bill Constantino PowerPoint video, and I could not find it. Is it still on YouTube?
Yeah, the easiest place to get to it is if you go to our website and you click on Start Here. And then what pops up is you'll see the block with the poster on it for the factors that create perception poster. Then there's the next link down is for Chapter 24, and then the next one under that says PowerPoint of Aramaic Forgiveness.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to find it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, tell us what else is exciting in your work. We haven't heard your voice in a while.
Well, let's see. I have a student from at the UAB Medical School for 4 weeks as a guest, and we were discussing. He's a very devout Catholic, and we were discussing justice. And I said, well, I don't think most people choose to do bad things consciously. And so we were talking about the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And my memory tells me that the conscious mind is just like the tip of the iceberg. Is that correct? And that most of our brain activity is unconscious.
Yes, for sure. That would be my take. If you listen to psychologists, they'll tell you that 90, 95, in some cases they'll say as much as 98% of mental activity is unconscious. If you go back to the Aramaic, in the ancient scriptures, they say, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues of life. And I'd offer that word heart would be representative of the unconscious, that we really need to take care of that aspect of our minds, start to learn how to access it and how to clean it up, because that's where so much of the drama and trauma is stored and where it replays from. So that would be my take. I'd be in 100% agreement with you there.
Okay.
And of course, the forgiveness process is what, when we collapse what's going on in the conscious mind, that construct called perception, that's when we get to drop into and access the unconscious part of the mind, the unconscious dynamic. And I was sharing, and I don't know if you've seen it. In fact, if you'd like, I'll send you a link to it. But when we did the book club 2 weeks ago, the woman who runs the book club shared that morning she had done a worksheet. She had made a commitment. She was going to do worksheets every day, and she didn't have much to work on, but she picked something out. It was something kind of, I don't remember what it was, but sort of offhanded and relatively meaningless. But when she actually went through the forgiveness process, all of a sudden she had pop up from that unconscious. And it was a work she had done that morning, and this was 8:30 at night in England when we're doing the book club, which means it's 3:30 this afternoon here today. And she was still in tears dealing with this. And what she realized is she lived her whole life with holding a belief that she didn't belong here, that she didn't deserve to be here. And that would be a matter of an unconscious dynamic running somebody's life. And becoming aware of that after 40 years is a pretty profound piece of information. And that's the beauty of the forgiveness process, is it gives us direct access to those unconscious dynamics that, as you say, I think there are very few people who would, consciously, purposely choose to damage or hurt someone or do something destructive. But, oftentimes you say to somebody, well, why did you do that? And it'll usually be, because I felt like it. Do you have any idea why you felt like it? No. And that's a totally unconscious dynamic. So that's right. The power of the worksheet, the gift from Yeshua. Here's how you get into your own unconscious.
Awesome. Okay. And to access that book club, just go to the website.
Well, actually, I have a couple of links that I've been posting on Facebook, and I will send it to you when we complete this call. I'll send you a link, and it'll have a link to today's book club. It'll have a link to the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop that we're doing on Saturday, and it will have a link to replays of the past book club. So I'll just send that to you all in one neat little package. And Jeannie, I'll send that to you also via email so that you have access to that and can pass it along to folks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, young lady, you have a best one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Blessings. So, Miss Jeannie?
Nobody else has a hand up. So go for whatever you planned for your intro.
Well, I was thinking that you had a whole list of folks that were just standing in line waiting to be part of the conversation. Is that not accurate?
Well, there's a whole list of them on the switchboard, but none of them have a hand up. So, I guess I could
okay.
arbitrarily just go through and turn the mics on, huh?
Go ahead and turn my hand. Sure. Okay, I'm just focusing on dropping you an email with this set of links in it, Amy. So just give me 1 second to do that.
While you're doing that, I'll just share. There was yesterday, and I think we may have even mentioned it, that there was a little bird that just kept hopping from the tree to the porch to the, everywhere, and was just making twerping sounds and going on. And I said, I don't know if it's asking us for help or what's going on. And Aria said, well, it's a mommy and it's looking for its baby, and it was there most of the day. Well, this morning it was out there again, and it was on top of the car. And so we went out to look again to see what was going on for it. And sure enough, there was a baby under the car. And so Michael was able to, he bent down on one side and kind of made enough of a movement that the baby ran out from under the car, and it couldn't fly real good, but it flew up to the lower branch of a tree, and the mom went right behind it. So I guess she really does bird talk, because she was totally right on yesterday when she said it was a mommy looking for its baby. And then there today, the baby was.
So.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yesterday, Jeannie was doing an art project with Aria, and you've heard us talk before about the fact that her interest in anatomy, and we had gotten her a skeleton model with all the organs that you can take apart and put together. And so they were putting that together. And Aria decided she wanted to watch a video that she's watched I don't know how many times it's a YouTube video on the organs and how they all work and such. It was kind of fun. It's done in a song form. It's on a thing called the Kids Learning Tube. But I couldn't find it. I said, Papa, it's on the Kids Learning Tube channel. Oh, okay, sweetie. So I found it. And, so each body part shows up. It's done with a cartoon graphic in the eyes there. And it's this little song. It's, I am your eyes, I am your eyes, I see the world around you. And Aria says, they just don't understand. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. It's like, the girl is listening. It's just 3.5. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. And of course, that reminds me of, she's now 3.5, and in part, I lament, she takes a nap every day while we're doing the radio show. That's a habit we established way back when she was first born. But for that first year, and some of you will remember, listening on the show, and she would be in nap time, and she'd be asleep with her head right in the crook of my arm as we were doing the radio show. So she's got 3.5 years of radio shows under her belt, but it just popped out as this cartoon talks about the eyes seeing and correcting it. Nope, it's not your eyes, it's your brain. And that's a piece of information that if we all understood that what we think we see through our eyes is actually a construct in our brain, and the construct in our brain is very malleable. And if the construct in our brain is showing us a lie, like, for instance, showing me, according to the instructions I've given it, that somebody else is the reason why I'm in pain, then I'll attach my pain to my brain's image of someone else. I'll literally construct the whole picture out of those thoughts, and I'll believe my mind's lie because, after all, I can see it. I mean, we're supposed to believe our own eyes, right? Well, oftentimes the eyes tell us lies. Now, that's different from the political situation where somebody pulls a fast one and then says, now, don't believe your eyes. We're watching all kinds of crazy things happen with our own eyes and being told not to believe it. And, it seems like a great part of the country is not believing what their eyes have told them, but they hear fantasy stories about other people and believe them in a heartbeat because it happens to fit with their prejudices. And it's just, it's definitely the willingness to step into a space of honoring truth, where we really put truth at the very top of the pecking order in terms of things that we're interested in. And so that honoring truth is such a major piece of the puzzle and such an important thing to be aware of and to step into. And, this whole body of work, and you can go to our YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and type in Michael Ryce, R-Y-C-E, you'll see our YouTube channel, and I don't even know how many videos are there, dozens. You can start looking at information that helps to build the brain cells for the understanding that was given in this teaching 2,000 years ago for how the mind works. And it's just so profoundly powerful what was there, and sadly how generations of people have made up stories about how, well, they were old fogies in the desert who didn't know anything. Some of the most profound understanding of how the mind operates, how reality is cued into activity, how reality is structured in the mind, how reality can be collapsed, the relationship between reality and actuality. I mean, there's just so much profound knowledge if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And that's the purpose of this work, is to support and assist people having the eyes to see and the ears to hear what's actual and true. And that idea of having eyes to see and ears to hear, we would speak of as having the brain cells. If I don't have brain cells for something, my mind can't generate a rational construct about that something. So if you go back to Yeshua 2,000 years ago, he talks about how those who having eyes do not see, those who having ears do not hear, and his work is for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And that means you've got to have the accurate brain cells for what the actual meanings were, for the words that were being used. So, a simple example of that I like to use, and it's one that over the years has been, it's the one idea that I've taught since I first started working with the Aramaic a little better than 40 years ago, that almost universally people come back to me, or I see somebody that I haven't connected with in 20 years. I'm walking down the street. I remember I was in Bermuda, and I'm walking down the street in one of the cities, and somebody goes, "Oh, you're Michael Ryce, aren't you?" "Yeah, I was at your workshops 5 years ago, and the idea that stuck to me most and has changed my life is when you explained what sin meant in Aramaic." Now, most people in this Western world with our Greek mythology programmed as religious truth think the word sin is about some terrible, awful, evil, nasty thing that they've done. In Aramaic, it's an archery term, and if you were on the archery range and pulled back your bow and let the arrow fly and missed the bullseye, the scorekeeper would yell, "Sin, you're off the mark." That's all the word means. Now, if that's a new idea to you, if you had the old Greek brain cells, you've now got the eyes to see and the ears to hear Aramaic truth, and you go, "Oh, that's off the mark. I sinned. I did something that is not an appropriate energy for my energy system, and I can stop." It doesn't mean condemnation. I'm supposed to take on as my identity, and I'm going to go to hell, and all the stuff, all the brain cell baggage that goes along with the Greek idea. It's just off the mark. And I can forgive those things that are off the mark. And then there's a second idea that follows that relates to the word sin. It's another archery term. And that is if I fired at the target and I miss the target altogether, not just miss the bullseye, sin, but miss the target, and now it's evil. Like totally off target. So for most people, that's an example of now having the eyes to see and the ears to hear what the man Yeshua is talking about. If you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, the Greeks tell us, he told us we were supposed to love our neighbors. And if you have hostility in you, believe me, you're going to draw neighbors that are going to bring your hostility up. And if your hostility comes up in front of this neighbor, they're the expert drawn in through resonance to show your hostility, then you're going to go into rage and hostility toward them. And if somebody told you were supposed to love your neighbor, you're probably going to go into guilt and, "Oh my God, I failed, I was to do, and look, I'm raging," and totally great brain cells. Leave people totally confused. It's a terrible thing to tell people they should love their neighbor. That's just an awful thing to tell somebody. Because if they have unresolved hostility, fear, rage, guilt, grief, condemnation, gossip, if they've got that energy, then they're going to draw a neighbor that's going to bring it up. And if your neighbor brings it up and you're sitting there going, oh, I'm supposed to love them, but here I am in rage, then comes a whole other layer of guilt and sin and shame and look what I've done and how bad and evil and wrong I am. And if you know that, if you got the brain cells where he didn't say love your neighbor, he said function as love in the presence of your neighbor, and you notice that your neighbor brings your hostility or your rage or your fear up, then you can aim accurately at functioning as love in the presence of your neighbor, rather than trying to send out some kind of approval when approval isn't what's up for you. And most of the world, the brain cells most of the world has for that word love is approval. And love is a state of being. It's who we are. He didn't say to do who you are to your neighbor. He said be who you are, especially if your neighbor is bringing up your hostility or fear. Then strive to function as love and clean up your own sin, the energy that's off the mark in you, that your neighbor has done the gift, done the blessing of showing you that you're carrying and you need to deal with. So when you've got the accurate eyes to see and the ears to hear, this teaching becomes so much more practical and so much easier to live with. Whew. Remember he said, my burden is light? And you listen to it. I remember one day, and this comes to mind often, we were at a church that there was a preacher up there doing his hellfire and brimstone thing, and I'm watching this little kid that's maybe 10 or 11, 12 years old, and I mean, I could just see this kid. And if I had to guess, I would say his father was probably a rager. And he'd heard this rage so many times, and he's sitting in the pew, and this preacher's just raging away about sinners. And this little kid's just shrinking in terror as he's listening to this preacher. And when you realize the load that a child like that carries, and then instead of being a place of resolution, there's just more of a load put on top of that little kid. In the name of a man who said, hey, come on over here. My burden's light. I'm going to make it easy for you. Where is the easy in that pounding away on that little kid or that old man or old woman that's got that old sin that they've never resolved? Where's the burden light in that? Let's stop that garbage and let's offer people a space of support and respite and healing, a space where things that are unlike love can open and be resolved. So we're here with this work to support resolution of everything that is less than love and restoration to the truth of who we are. Waking up to recognize that we don't do love, we are love. And when we function as love, everything changes. And we're here to change everything. And we're glad that you are here to be part of that change and hopefully to pass it along to anyone and everyone else that you're listening, that you're acquainted with. As you know, when we complete this show, very shortly after it's complete, there is an archive that shows up on our website page. If you go to yagain.org, click on the microphone and drill down, you'll find yesterday's show is there. You can copy it to your computer, save it there, and listen anytime you want, or your phone. Or you can copy a link and send it to someone else so they can download it. If there are particularly meaningful shows, then let's pass them along. Let's make them available. The idea is to take this knowledge to this, the understanding of this burden is light, we're looking to make available to all of those who are burdened, who are carrying shame and fear and guilt and rage, and to recognize that all of that can be removed. And when you go to the Aramaic, it's not about, God's going to forgive you for your sins. That's just pure bunk. Never going to happen. Because forgive isn't the Greek idea of letting somebody off the hook. Yes, the active presence of love, the Creator in you, is there to forgive, to open the space, to lift from your mind those energetic patterns with which you are burdened. So it's not being let off the hook, but the energetic burdens being removed. And oftentimes those burdens are generational. They've been going on in the bloodline for too long, and there's such a habit that people have been just lost in those habits. In the Aramaic, there's a line in what they call the Lord's Prayer that can be properly translated as, lift this error from me. Remove this burden. The human energy system is not designed to carry sadness and guilt and fear and rage and hatred and vengeance and political viciousness and name-calling and just the stuff that's become almost the norm. We're here to care for and nurture and support ourselves, our families, and our neighbors. And by the way, there's a word that most people have the brain cells for that, they think it means the guy just who lives down the block or next door. But if you've got the brain cells for what Yeshua is talking about with that word, the word neighbor means anybody that you think about. So if you think about the Russian peasant or the Ukrainian object of a Russian bomb, they're your neighbor. And what Yeshua was offering was that when you think of them, if you are holding to your human life, if you are functioning out of your human beingness, love, then you'll be making a contribution to every neighbor that you think about. You'll be uplifting energetically every neighbor. And when a neighbor gets enough of an uplift, guess what? They're vital enough to throw off the burdens they're carrying. And that's a gift that you can give to every person on the planet when you realize who you are and you unburden yourself. And you unburden yourself through forgiveness. If you're not using the forgiveness technology, please go to our website. There are at least 20 radio shows under the archives. There's a set of special archives, at least 20 shows where either Dr. Tim or Jeannie or myself have walked somebody step by step through the total worksheet process. There now are a couple of videos on the website, the archives, where we've walked somebody through the forgiveness process step by step on the Hear My Voice book club. And we'll finish the show at 2 o'clock, and about an hour and a half after that at 3:30, grab the Zoom link. I'm sure Jeannie's already put it in the notes. Grab the Zoom link and join us on Zoom at 3:30 Eastern Time. It'll be 8:30 in England when they start their Zoom project. And we're going to walk somebody through the 7-step forgiveness process. So join us for that live. There'll be some space for questions. And so if you want to be part of that, we'll also post that on the archives. And so, we're doing everything we can do to make this as available as possible. You can download the worksheet from the website, print it on your own printer so you got it there in writing. You can do the worksheet live on the website, or you can go to your app store in your phone and type in the words Heartland, Heartland, one word, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. When you type that in, you'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. And in that app, you can do the worksheet process step by step by step. If there's a step that's confusing to you, click a button and type in your question, push send. Jeannie will get it. We'll answer it on the show, and we'll let you know when we answered it. So you've got to answer your question. So, we're working to make these tools, develop them in, more and more functional ways so that they're available to you and you can make use of them. So download the app. Again, Heartland, one word, Heartland, Aramaic forgiveness. Download the app. Start doing worksheets right there. You've got access to the commitment. You've got access to that question and answer. You've got access to the kids' worksheet, which is titled in the app, is entitled the Drag On Cling On Game, showing kids how to get rid of the things they tend to drag on in their lives and things that cling on to them that seem we can't get rid of them. Conscious. And then on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern Time from 2 to 5, we're going to do a live Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop. And again, if you want to grab the link, it'll be in today's notes, or it's also on the events page on our website. So you can just click that link and join us at 2 o'clock. I'm going to do the whole live Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop. So from 2 to 5 o'clock, Saturday, come and join us. And or there's also at tomorrow or Saturday at 11 o'clock. We're going to be doing the monthly session of Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing. If you haven't participated in that and you'd like to, drop Jeannie a note, JEANIE at WHYagain.org. Drop her an email with your name and phone number, and we'll get you signed up to do that. We do that the second Saturday of each month, and then the Tuesday following that Saturday, we do the second session. So there are 2 sessions each month involved in the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club. And you can register for 1 session. You can register for 3 sessions. It's discounted. A single session is $150. The 3 sessions are $125 each, or if you decide you want to do a full year, then it's $900 for the full year, so it's under $100 a month. And there's a really sweet community that's really growing in trust of each other and support of each other. I mean, we're covering all kinds of very intimate discussions and conversations that only a supportive community of people that are getting to know each other are sharing. And I think everybody's really, and several people have expressed that they're really appreciating the camaraderie that's developing and the safety and the support. So if you're interested in doing that, that's going to happen Saturday at 11 o'clock. And then again, Tuesday at 7 in the evening, Eastern Time. So there's lots of happening, lots of ways to join. There are lots of things you can do that will cost you absolutely nothing. The webpage, the website's over 20,000 pages, all kinds of supports, videos, audios, the archives of the radio shows. There are thousands of radio shows, and you can do all of that free. And of course, you are most welcome to call any and every day that you have a question on this radio show. Our objective is to be there to support you and make everything known that we have to move you forward in your process. We're not going to hold off something that, you have to come and do the secret workshop to do it. Everything is here. It's wide open. The only thing that we don't offer on a wide open basis, because it's a deep process-oriented piece of work, is the still point breathing is something that we only do within the context of a participatory workshop. It's not a technology you can just hand somebody and say, here, go off and do this on your own. It's something that you need personal guidance with to start. Now, ultimately, it's meant to be used for yourself, by yourself. But that's the only tool that there's any kind of, you have to be part of a workshop to do, because it is a deep process-oriented work that you don't just offhandedly take a hold of it and say, it's like, I'm going to take this Ferrari and go driving on down the freeway. and I don't know how to drive. So anyway, every way we can support you, again, all kinds of free ways to it. And if you're in a position to, and or you choose to, if this work is impacting you, then there are ways that you can do that you can pay for it. And we invite you, if you're in a position to do that, to consider supporting this work. While we do as much as we can possibly do for free, we haven't figured out how to do any of it for nothing. If you take this radio show, you'll notice we don't have sponsors. We don't get paid to do this. We pay to do this, to be here in this conversation with you. And so if it's supporting you, then we invite you to go to our website. There's a donate button. Click it and donate to support the work and making it available. Beyond a very meager lifestyle that we live, everything that comes into this work is plowed back into how can we develop another tool, how can we develop another way to serve and support this work becoming available and moving forward on a global scale. Jeannie's in the process right now of working with the technicians in India to upgrade the forgiveness app to the next level. And so if you're in a position to, it's appropriate and you'd like to, then please click that donate button, and you can do a monthly donation if you'd like, or do a one-time donation, or do no donation, whatever fits, whatever works. It's just an invitation. We're committed to making available, and we're going to keep doing that, whatever anybody and everybody does. And of course, it helps if we have a little help from our friends. So we're glad you're out there in listener land. And Miss Jeannie, do we have anything happening in the chat room or anybody in the phone queue with a hand up?
There are no hands up and nothing in the chat room. Yinka is in the chat room, so I'll just go ahead and say I'm getting ready to send you an email. She was asking about the 3 early memory worksheet. All of our worksheets are online. However, I'm going to send you a direct link to it. But if you click on the Start Here button or scroll down and click on the bullseye in the middle of the page, both of those take you to where you can access the mini versions of the reality management sheet, but you can also access all of the other worksheets that we have. And so the 3 early memories is under there. So I will send you that, though, in an email here in just one moment. You'll be getting it.
And the 3 early memories worksheet is one that's pretty self-explanatory. You can just go on the website, as Jeannie says, and find it. And basically what we invite people to do, it's from our Healing Through Relationships workshop, and we invite people to just, not doing some big, deep search of their past, but just a simple, offhanded, take the 3 earliest memories you have of conflict in your life. Now, it might be a conflict in which you were directly involved. It might be a conflict that you were just standing back observing somebody else in conflict. Doesn't matter what it is, but just 3 simple offhanded early memories. And, on that worksheet, and actually you don't even really need the piece of paper, but you can print it off. But just to take a piece of paper and divide it into 3 sections. Do memory 1, memory 2, memory 3. And don't go with some big, I'm going to try and figure something. Just memory 1. I remember when I was, out walking with my mother, and I picked up some sand and threw it, and it got in the baby's face, and I was in trouble. Okay, so that might be a memory of conflict, just an offhanded memory of conflict. Do 3 of them. Then once you've got the 3 memories, then go back, and then there's a section with several questions under it. And what we invite you to do, again, not doing some big, deep, dark search, just bang, 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 lay it out. From the context, to the best of your ability, go back and remember what your mind was thinking in terms of life in the context of that memory. So maybe when I, threw the sand, Mom yelled, and maybe fear came up in me, so it might be life is fearful. So that'd be blank number 1. Then I am. So from that memory, the I am might be, I'm in trouble. Then the 3rd line is, I feel. So in the context of that, the best I recall, I feel, well, it might be I feel scared. And then it might be, and then the next blank is people are. So what's my conclusion? In the context of that early memory, what's my conclusion about people? Well, maybe I perceived Mom was yelling at me and blaming me and mean, and so people are mean. And then the next blank is I need. In the context of that situation, what was it that you needed? So the need might be, I need someone to protect me. And then there's one more blank, and that is I want. So the I need is I need someone to protect me, and I want might be I want Mom to embrace me in a gentle voice. So there's a set of conclusions in the context of that early memory. Now take 3 of them to memory 2, memory 3. And then what we invite you to do, this again is an exercise from our Healing Through Relationships workshop, then we want you to look at in memory 1, memory 2, memory 3, under life is, do you notice anything? Under I am, people are, I must, I need, I want. Most people start to see a pattern developing. And we invite you to just pick out that pattern, lay out that pattern. And then take a look at a conflict you've got going on currently. Is that pattern there? Life is, I am, I feel, I want, I need. And what most people discover is, oh my God, here I thought I was dealing with the issue of an adult. Here I am, 40 years later, dealing with an adult big man issue, and here I'm actually dealing with what happened with a 5-year-old in the situation of conflict. And when I start to see that, I make a whole other part of my unconscious mind available for conscious surveillance and correction and release and removal. So that's just one of the other tools that we utilize in the Healing Through Relationships workshop. And so that's available on the website. You can grab that worksheet. And again, you don't even need it. Just, you can just longhand that. Memory 1, 2, 3, life is, I am, I feel, I need, I want.
People are, relationships
People are. Relationships are, yeah.
And I want to punish.
Oh, yes, that's right. I'd forgotten about the punishment piece in there. What is it you want to do to punish there? So when you start looking at patterns and you become aware of what was established in early life, oftentimes you'll find that it's still running you, and there's another opportunity to forgive. So, how's that fit in your craw? How's that work? And if you're out there in listener land and you're on one of those stations where we can't see you on our control panel, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show directly on your phone. And then if you want to have a conversation, push 1. And through the magic of technology, that will raise a hand in the control panel. Jeannie will introduce you by your area code, and we'll be having a conversation. So let's have a conversation. Are you out there in listener land with a thought for us? Push 1. Let's talk about it. How can we support you? What's on your mind? What questions are there? How can we clear any questions you have up about any of the tools, the worksheet, or anything else? 563-999-3581.
While we're waiting on someone to press 1, along the lines of that punishment thought, most people are like, oh, I don't want to punish. I never punish. They get into the kind of holier state because they've been taught you're not. That's not nice. Play nice. You don't be angry. You don't, whatever. But sometimes it's just withdraw or leave. And think about when the worst punishment they do to people in prisons, put them in solitaire. So if you withdraw into yourself or withdraw from other people, that's punishment for you and them. Just thought I'd throw that in. And I can hear you talking through the wall, but not through the phone.
Mute challenged. And to recognize that when we do punishment, the person who's doing this punishment gets the original. The object of the situation just gets a carbon copy. And so recognize what we're doing to ourselves, and it's time to make a change and to step into the commitment of, I promise to treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect. And when I do that, then I start to, on another level, treat myself that way. And that's where we're going to head. Go for it, Jeannie.
Question in the chat room, and she asks, what do you do when you're opening the door to memories and then all of a sudden the floodgate opens and it becomes overwhelming with memory?
You breathe. You breathe, and if we were in intensive and you asked that question, I'd have a marker in my hand. I'd turn to my 4x whiteboard in nice big letters. I'd write all of the above. It's every tool we teach. If you went back to in the archives for this radio show to our first show 11 years ago, and you started listening, day 1 that week, day 2 that week, day 3 that week, day 4 and 5, and then the next week, days 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the next. Every week for 11 years, we've been answering that question every day. I mean, if you listen to every minute of the archive, it's all about answering that question. What do you do with whatever comes up? You use every tool that you've got. So that might mean that you might step into using the responsibility communication tool. You might use the codependence tool. You might use the forgiveness worksheet. You might use the commitment. The whole idea, like for instance in an intensive, is to hand people a whole series of tools with which they have the flexibility and the knowledge to be able to deal with everything that life throws at them, or everything that they create in their lives and in their minds, and how to bring shifts to it, how to change it. So all of the above is kind of the standard answer to that one.
And I'll add to that too, there is an automatic suppress mechanism that, if you are not vital enough to deal with something, your system will not yield it up to you. And so anything that is up in your face, you apparently have the vitality to handle it, or it wouldn't be there. And, that kind of goes along with the scripture where it says that, my mind just went blank how it's worded, you'll not be given more than you are able to bear, or something like that. And it's the same thing.
More than you can handle.
And, right. So if it's there for you to look at and deal with, then you apparently have the vitality, even if maybe consciously you don't think you do. And you've been doing a lot of work, so you have, reached a point of vitality where things that you've been able to suppress and not look at is now up in your face. And so just like Michael said, breathe and realize, okay, I'm evidently able to handle this one, so we'll just take it step at a time and go through it.
And there's a rule that I like to call the rule of the 3 Ps, and that is practice, practice, practice. That you take each and every tool that you've got, and as you utilize it, you develop deeper and deeper skill levels with it. You develop the brain cells. One of the things for me that is just brings up huge appreciation for me is the years that I've been able to work with the Aramaic teachings of Yeshua and the brain cells that I've built in doing that. And circumstances, situations, issues appear, And if the mind doesn't have the brain cells, it looks at that thing and it's like, I don't even know what that is. I don't have any idea what to do with that. As you do your work, you develop the brain cells so that, and again, this is something that really is deep appreciation for me. Oh, I understand what that is because I've worked at developing brain cells to understand. You know, if you've ever had a picture that you know, on first glance you look at it and it's like, what? I don't have a clue what that is. You know, sometimes there are, let's say, letters hidden in a picture, and you look at it and it looks like just a bunch of lines, and you don't see anything. Well, you don't see anything with your eyes anyway, but as you look and you look and you look at that picture, all of a sudden the brain cells fire, and you look and you go, oh, there's a word there. Oh, now that those brain cells are firing, my mind is able to replicate that word, take it out, and then you look at that and you can't do anything but see the word that's there. A moment before, there was no recognition whatsoever, couldn't see it, and then once you see it, you can't not see it. Well, it's the same thing. As you work with these tools, as you work with this understanding, you develop the brain cells, and things that yesterday you would have looked at and you've gone, God, I don't have a clue what this is. I don't know what to do with this. All of a sudden you got the brain cells like, oh, okay, I can see exactly. Yeah, okay, there it is. Now, which tool am I going to use to work through this? So that's one of the reasons for this radio show, is to support people in having the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Develop the brain cells so you know what it is and what to do with it, because you've got the tools. And so we're down to about 7 minutes or so. So there's time for one good conversation. If you're out there in listener land, push one. Let's talk about it. What's on your mind? 563-999-3581. If you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, call that number. Then push one. And Jeannie will see your hand go up, and we'll talk about it. I can't imagine, with all the conversation we've had so far, that there isn't somebody who's going, well, what about... And if there are no questions, if there's no conversation to be had, I know that I've got the Hear My Voice book study club to do in an hour and a half, and I've got a couple of things to take care of, so I'm going to just say that let's close the show out for today, and we'll join you tomorrow, and thanks everybody for joining us. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings.